the mysterious murder of 13-year-old Aarushi Talwar. The case of Aarushi Talwar is often referred to as the Noida double murder case. In this case, 13-year-old Aarushi Talwar was brutally murdered and 45-year-old Hemraj Panjade, a domestic helper, was murdered in the same fashion. Both were killed on the intervening night of 15-16 of May, 2008, at Aarushi's home. The case has received huge media coverage. It has raised various allegations on the character of the deceased, as well as the accused. The Ghaziabad Sessions Court has held the parents of Aarushi, who were the prime suspects, guilty, after the investigation of 2 CBI teams. The case has then been appealed in the Allahabad High Court. The dead body of Aarushi Talwar was found at 6 am in L32, Jalayu, Vihar Flats, in Sector 25 of Noida, Uttar Pradesh on May 16. At that point and time in the FIR, the father, Rajesh Talwar, named their missing domestic helper, Hemraj, as the main suspect. The next day on May 17, the decomposed body of Hemraj was found on the terrace. Aarushi Talwar was a student of Delhi Public School, Noida. She was a daughter of a dentist couple, Dr. Rajesh Talwar and Dr. Nupur Talwar, born out of in vitro fertilization treatment. Hemraj was a live-in, domestic helper, and a cook in the Talwar family, and he lived in the servant quarters of the flat. She was the only daughter of the dentist couple, and they lived in the very flat in which she was found brutally murdered. After the discovery of the decomposed dead body of Hemraj, the possibility of him being the suspect in the murder of Aarushi Talwar was ruled out, and the prime suspects were now Aarushi's parents. The police has developed 2 theories for the motive of Dr. Rajesh Talwar to murder Aarushi and Hemraj. Rajesh Talwar murdered the two in a fit of rage, that is sudden impulse, seeing the deceased in such a compromising position. Hemraj blackmailing Rajesh about his alleged extramarital affair with Anita Dorani, with whom they shared the Noida dental clinic, and Hemraj confronting the same to Aarushi. The case was transferred to CBI. The CBI team suspected the Talwar's assistant, Krishna, along with the 2 other domestic servants, Rajkumar and Vijay. The CBI conducted a narco analysis on the 3 suspects. The 3 suspects have in the narco analysis confessed about their involvement, and it is presumed that they killed Aarushi after attempting to sexually assault her, and since Hemraj had witnessed, they killed Hemraj too. But all the 3 men were released, as no evidence was found against them. Moreover, at the same time, the Talwar couple came clear in the narco analysis, and nothing was found against them. As per the Section 45 of the Indian Evidence Act, the results of narco analysis test being the only evidence is not binding on the court. In 2009, September, the case was transferred to a new CBI team, which was led by SP Neelab Kishore, and the investigating officer was additional SP Kaul. Again, the new CBI too submitted a closure report, since there was no existence of any evidence against anyone, and the narco analysis is not a reliable evidence. In January 2011, the Talwars filed a petition against the CBI in Ghaziabad court, in an attempt to close the case. In February 2011, the Honorable Ghaziabad Sessions Court converted the closure report of the CBI into a charge sheet, and the Talwar couple was summoned in the court, and thus a case was filed against the parents of the deceased on the basis of the closure report of the CBI. In the time span of 9 am to 1 pm, Nupur Talwar was working at the Hausk Khas clinic. Then, after picking Aarushi from her school at 1:30, they returned to their residence for lunch. They were joined by Rajesh's brother and Dinesh's wife for the same. Both the ladies left the house after the lunch, and Aarushi was left alone. By 4:30 to 7 pm, Nupur saw patients at Fortis Hospital, and was back home around 7:30 pm in the evening. Dr. Rajesh Talwar, as a part of the routine from 8:45 am to 3:30 pm in the noon, took classes at the ITS Dental College, and then saw the patients at the Hoskhas Clinic till 8:30 pm. Rajesh returned home from the Hoskhas Clinic around 9:30 pm. Umesh, the driver, had come to the house to hand over Rajesh's car keys and his bag to Hemraj. Umesh saw that Hemraj had cooked the food for the family. Nupur and Aarushi was sitting at the dining table, waiting for Rajesh Talwar, who was at the door of the bedroom. Thus, Umesh was the last outsider to see both the deceased alive. After the dinner, all the members of the family headed towards Aarushi's room. There the couple gifted Aarushi a Sony digital camera, which was Aarushi's birthday gift, planned to give on her birthday on 24th May. The camera was couriered to the house in the earlier part of the day and was received by Hemraj. Aarushi clicked pictures with her parents, and the last picture was clicked at 10:10 pm. Later, Aarushi's parents left to their room, while Aarushi stayed back. At 11 pm, Dr. Rajesh Talwar told his wife, Dr. Nupur Talwar, to switch on the internet router in Aarushi's room. When Nupur entered Aarushi's room to switch on the internet router, she saw Aarushi reading a book, then went back to her room. Meanwhile, Rajesh had sent emails at 11:41 pm. This was the last to use internet in desktop. At the stroke of 12 am, it has been observed from the telephone records that one of Aarushi's friends tried calling on her cell phone, but the same was unanswered, hence he called on the landline number. The same was unanswered, hence he sent a SMS on Aarushi's phone, but the same was not received on her phone. It is detected from the data that the internet was last used at 12:08 am. From this, the CBI has drawn a conclusion that the Talwars were awake till 12:08 am. As per the post-mortem reports, both Aarushi and Hemraj have been murdered between 12 am to 1 am, but the exact sequence of the events are not available with the CBI. The court quoted the judgment of Khemkaran vs. State of UP. If all the circumstances and the evidence on those bases point towards the guilt of the accused, and there is no possibility of any other alternative hypothesis, then in such a situation only the accused can be convicted solely on the basis of circumstantial evidence. Aarushi's room and her parents were adjacent to each other, and they were separated by a wooden wall. The domestic help, Hemraj's dead body, was found on the terrace of the flat, in pool of blood the next day, which was locked from inside. No evidence suggests that any outsider had come to the Talwar residence after the driver Umesh at 9:30 pm. There was no electricity cut that night, and the guards have seen no one moving near the gates of the flat in suspicious manner on that night. On the early morning of 16th of May, 2008, when the maid came to the Talwar residence for brooming purpose, Nupur Talwar told her that Hemraj might have locked the door from outside and have gone to fetch milk. She asked her to go downstairs so that she would throw the keys to her, but actually the door was not latched or locked from outside. The housemaid has nowhere stated in her statement that the parents were weeping on seeing Aarushi dead. Thus, the court has drawn an inference from the statement of the maid that what Nupur Talwar told her was a made-up story, or it was pre-planned and it lacked spontaneity, as per the Section 8 of the Indian Evidence Act. The court has presumed that, in a general situation, the parents would have hugged their murdered daughter, and their clothes would be stained with blood, but that was not the case here. A person who murdered is in no need to take the deceased body to the terrace, and also would not chill, drinking Scotch whiskey, after committing two murders. First priority of the murderer would be to flee away from the crime scene without being noticed. It is observed that the door of the terrace has never been locked from inside on the previous occasions, but on the morning of 16th May, it was found locked, and when the police asked the accused for the keys, he failed to hand over. It is the plea of the accused that 8 to 10 days prior to the occurrence, the painting was started, and since then Hemraj had started locking the door of the terrace, and hence he used to keep the keys. In such a situation, it is not possible for any outsider to get hold of the keys. In case if the murder is committed by an outsider, then most probably, he might have escaped after locking the door from outside. Thus the motive here has been established. The rooms were completely dressed up after the murders, and everything was in proper place. Thus, the court has inferred that it is not possible for any outsider to keep things in place. This can be done only by a person who is very well acquainted with the house. The golf club number 5, which was alleged murder weapon, was hidden, and the same was produced after several months. From the injuries on both the dead bodies, it can be inferred that the murder weapon are a golf club and a scalpel, and moreover, the scalpel also would be handy, as both of them are dentists. On the basis of the circumstantial evidence, the court has convicted Dr. Rajesh Talwar and Dr. Nupur Talwar under Section 302, read with Section 34, and Section 201, read with Section 34. It has been inferred that the couple not only committed heinous crime of murdering their daughter and the domestic help under Section 302, but also destroyed the evidence under Section 201 of IPC. Here, Section 34 IPC states that acts done by several persons in furtherance of common intention. Thus, they were convicted and punished with rigorous imprisonment for life. Later, the Allahabad High Court corrected the error made by the trial court in application of law, and highlighted that Section 106 of the Indian Evidence Act did not absolve the prosecution from proving case beyond reasonable doubt under Section 110 of the Act. The court pointed out that Section 106 did not intend to shift burden of proof to the accused, but could only be used when certain facts were difficult to be proved by the prosecution. The court pointed out that Section 106 did not intend to shift burden of proof to the accused, but could only be used when certain facts were difficult to be proved by the prosecution. This section could only be applied if CBI would have proved the case beyond reasonable doubts. Moreover, the prosecution, that is CBI, had failed to establish the case beyond reasonable doubts. Hence, the benefit of doubt should be given to the Talwars, and they were acquitted. Thanks for watching. Subscribe my channel for more videos.